So I feel the same way, Desiree. I don't trust Medjugorje at all. I just know people who have had major conversions there, and I do know a lot of people who have had like small miracles happen. That I just think that even when the devil is at work, that God can still bring good out of evil. I think that's how how I would say that. You know, I don't trust the visionaries. I think there's some shady stuff going on there, but I do think that God can work good out of bad.
I don't understand the charismatic movement, but that I don't understand the Trinity either, and that's still true. I mean, why does it have to be limited to my understanding or anything? So there's things in the church that I don't get necessarily, but you know, again, that if someone
wait, really funny.
What do you say?
Steven, funny
question answered.
Well done.
Yeah, Desiree, I'm telling you, all right, so I told you guys that my father's brother took his life, and right after that happened, he hung himself, he killed himself, and then my father and his two brothers wound up in Medjugorje, and my dad didn't want to go. Like, he was adamant he wasn't going to go, and he wound up there, and him and his two brothers all converted while they were there. It was like this unbelievable experience they had. They kept coming across all these things while they were there about brothers, the three brothers or something. It was, I'd have to hear the stories from him again. It's been years since I heard them, but it was some wild things happened to them over there.
I went once in 98. 98? Yeah, 98.
I didn't know you went there. Because you weren't a apparitions guy until recently.
So I wasn't actually going to Medjugorje to go to Medjugorje. I had just graduated from high school, and I had linked up with some people who were going over to Rome, and then they were going to go over to the former Yugoslavia for a little while, and then tour around the rest of Italy after that.
Thank you, Rob.
But I was intrigued a little bit, but very disturbed by what I saw. Just in terms of, it seemed like a lot of lonely housewives with like 30 cats, not housewives anymore, they're widows.
So I'm so glad you're saying this. I'm really glad you're saying this, because
they would go and now they see the Virgin Mary, and it's like, okay, I see what's happening here. I mean, it just kind of didn't seem authentic to me. It was nothing that couldn't be explained by a bunch of and I'm sorry to say this, lonely people who now I claim to see the Virgin Mary, and now everybody pays attention to me.
Now, what about, like, there are some videos that pop out of there with like the miracle of the sun and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I mean, I can think of a million explanations for that are a lot more plausible than God is speaking to us through Morse code via the sun. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, I am I just now, maybe 3 weeks ago, Jason, came around to accepting Fatima and Lourdes.
Yeah, because me and Mark actually had a discussion early on in our podcast, because Fatima was also pretty instrumental in my conversion, and Mark was like, I don't know, I'm not a apparitions guy, and I guess he's kind of come around to that one.
You know what we should do?
The thing that Medjugorje did is it turned me off to apparitions. That's what Medjugorje
we should do a show on Garabandal, because
there's
Garabandal
some ties to Long Island with that, I think.
With Garabandal?
Mm-hmm.
So Garabandal is one of those ones. So somebody said, when you guys get back to talking about the movie, this conversation is so far beyond the movie at this point. If you even want to hear the movie stuff, it was in the beginning of the podcast. I don't know what to tell you guys. Garabandal is one of those things where when you watch the footage from it, it's like, holy cow, it looks legit. But then you think about this whole idea of the warning. And the warning is this idea that everybody on the planet is going to have an illumination of conscience at the same time. And that is not how God has ever worked in salvation history, ever. He's always used a remnant, or he's always had a chosen people. It's never been everybody in the world has this miraculous, illumination of conscience at the same time, where a pilot's flying a plane and time stands still. Like, that's how they describe it. It just sounds kind of crazy to me, like that. But I think, so Faith, Garabandal and Akita are not the same, because Akita is approved.
Akita's approved, too.
And Garabandal is not. So
Yeah,
yes.
Akita is approved.
Yeah, Akita's approved. So Akita's a wild one too, but I like Kennedy put out a video recently on false apparitions, and you really do have to be careful of anything not approved by the church.
Oh,
See, and
absolutely.
I'll screw that up in a heartbeat, man. So I just stay away from it because, man,
It's
I'll
not
get it
necessary.
wrong. It's not necessary.
Not necessary.
And that's a clue to me right there that I don't know, that maybe I ought to stay away from it. So I just do. But I will tell you, I have a huge devotion to Our Lady of Guadalupe. It's probably my favorite Marian devotion. Me being from South Texas, that's no surprise, obviously. And
Guadalupe, I love, and Fatima, I love.
Yeah, and so that's an apparition. So everybody's like, "So Mark, what are you saying?" And I'm like, "Okay, I will accept Guadalupe. I'll accept Fatima.
Guadalupe is such a unique apparition,
right?
In that, if you really know the history of it, Spain is sending conquistadors, and they're sending they're sending Jesuits and Franciscans, and they cannot convert anyone. Nobody is converted. They're getting 100 converts, 50 converts. Then Our Lady appears to Juan Diego, and
the natives were killing themselves en masse because these conquerors come, more or less prove their gods false. Their gods do nothing. They lose hope, right? They lose their faith, and they start just committing suicide. And then, bam, Guadalupe
was at 9 million, right?
9 million in like 2 years or something. It's unreal.
And the timing was crazy too, because it's almost like it was a repudiation of the
Reformation in Europe.
Yeah.
It's like, so 1531, you have Henry VIII is trying to chuck Catherine of Aragon and get rid of her and marry the wench. And in America, it's crazy because with Our Lady of Guadalupe, what happens is you then get this melding of Spanish and native cultures, and you get mestizo culture. And that's what I was talking about when I came back from Arizona, was in South and Central America, you do have this beautiful culture that was formed, where in North America you have Protestantism, and that's why you have slavery and you have all this racial tension and stuff, where the Spanish and the natives in South and Central America actually form their own culture. They all intermarry. There's not this weird divide between them, and you get second Christendom.
To be entirely fair to North America, you did have the French and
Canada.
Creating the Métis, which is fairly
in
similar.
Canada. And there's a really good movie. It's an old one. I think it might be called The Jesuit or something. I don't know, but it's a really good movie, and it's about a Jesuit going around trying to convert the indigenous of Canada. It's
with
really
Robert De Niro.
Movie. No, that's a great. The Mission. I love the Mission. The Mission's great. This is about a Canadian.
Incredible.
The Mission's about South America, though.
Which one were you talking? Oh, you were talking about.
I'm talking about in Canada. Yeah, I'll find the movie, and the next time we're talking about it, I'll bring it up. But yeah, no, the Mission is about South America, and it's about a Jesuit mission in South America, and that's right before what pope breaks up the Jesuits?
A bad one.
Yeah, which one was it?
Gregory the Ninth.
Was it? It was a Gregory, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's right before he.
I want my point for. So you think you know?
You better remember it because I'm bringing it up tomorrow. Yeah, it's right before he stops. What does he do? He puts a ban on the Jesuits or whatever he does. So I love that movie. That's one of the best cultural. Like, it's not a Catholic movie. It's a regular cultural movie that shows a beautiful side of Catholicism. Got a little communism in there, but
Okay, so it definitely wasn't Gregory the Ninth. So
that's way too long.
I just